Winter, 1948. Two fragile vehicles set out across Egypt's empty desert toward a forgotten mountain, broken machines, and a buried Roman city where silence, history, and survival waited in the stone.
Hey, glad you're here. Welcome to the Himalayan Journals. Here on this channel, we bring to you real stories from century old field notes. We try to keep it simple and calm here. Think of it as a documented history of the Himalayas from the early 1900s, covering stories of indigenous wisdom, epic expeditions, and groundbreaking science, passed on just as they were recorded. Subscribe, zone out, binge.
In the winter of 1948, my wife and I found ourselves drawn again toward the mountains, though this time not the Himalayas, but the stony grandeur of Egypt. Apart from the peaks of Sinai, which we had climbed earlier that year, the highest summit in Egypt was the Gebel Shayib, 7,170 feet high. It stood proud and solitary among a chain of red granite peaks that rise abruptly from the desert, visible even to ocean travelers sailing past the head of the Red Sea. Early in December, in company with Dr. and Mrs. Bangham, we set out to visit this region, hoping not only to climb Gebel Shayib, but also to see the Egyptian government's marine biological station at Hurghada and the ancient Roman town of Mons Claudianis nearby. We had only two vehicles for the long journey, a motorcycle combination and a small Standard 8 Tourer, neither designed for desert travel. On the afternoon of December 3rd, we left for Hurghada, 250 miles away. By dusk, we stopped beneath the rough cliffs of Gebel el Galala, 40 miles south of Suez. There, in a sheltered cove scattered with driftwood, we made a fire and rested. Soon after, trouble began. The motorcycle chain had already broken once, and later that night, the same machine burst a tire beyond repair. We had no spare tubes, and for 2 anxious hours worked by the light of another driftwood fire, forcing the car's inner tube into the motorcycle's wheel. It was a rough fit, but it held. Late into the night, we passed the lighthouses of Abu Darag and Zafrana, and finally found a hollow among the dunes, where we slept for a few short hours. Morning brought more mechanical adventures before we reached Ras Garib, the busy oil field settlement on the Gulf of Suez. As we drove in, the peaks of Sinai glowed red in the rising sun across the Gulf, and to the west, Gebel Garib loomed dark against the desert. We refueled there, surprised to find petrol dearer in the oil field than in the canal zone, though the Shell officials kindly supplied us with needed parts. By noon, we set out again for the final 100 miles to Hurghada. The track was good in places, and with a strong following wind, we made quick progress. The sun was setting behind the serrated ridge of the Gebel Shayib as we neared the town, the peaks cut sharp against a fading sky. The oil field authorities had been told of our arrival, and a guest house awaited us, an unexpected comfort in this desolate place. Electric light, gas stoves, even running water from a weekly tanker from Suez. After an excellent dinner, we prepared for our brief stay. The next morning was spent at the Marine Biological Station. Though the director, Dr. Gohar, was away, his staff showed us the aquaria where sharks, rays, and sea turtles swam. Hanging from a hook was a freshly killed bull walrus, a rare visitor here. Later, we rowed in a glass-bottomed boat over a coral reef and watched the strange and vivid world beneath the sea. In the afternoon, we turned toward the mountains. The sand gave way to foothills, And then, after 20 miles more, we entered a remote wadi. Around a bend appeared the ruins of Mons Claudianis, the Roman granite town. Its walls, still standing, enclosed a maze of tiny chambers. The roofs were gone, but the stonework was sound, and on the sand-covered floors we found relics of domestic life, untouched for centuries. Beyond the town stood a temple and the great Roman quarries. Everywhere lay cut and polished granite, columns in every stage of completion. One enormous pillar, 50 feet long and 8 in diameter, lay split across the middle, its maker's work broken, perhaps as they tried to move it. We saw also the stone platforms where the overseers once sat above the slaves. As the sun dropped, we left reluctantly, feeling the weight of 19 centuries in those silent stones. That night, we bivouacked high on the watershed, and at dawn began the long climb to Gebel Shayib. We crossed ridges and maze-like wadis before reaching the great sand-filled valley of Wadi Abu Abid. The mountain above rose in twisting couloirs and bold granite ridges. We followed Murray's old route, climbing steadily to a col beneath the western peaks. The ascent was wearying. My pack was heavy and my training poor, so we left most of our gear and pressed upward to a gap on the summit ridge. At last, the highest point came into view, a square granite tower, distant and steep. Step by step we climbed, across the final gully, over boulders, and up the smooth dome to the summit. At noon, we stood beside the cairn built by Murray 27 years before. The view stretched from the Sinai Massif to the Nile Valley 100 miles away. The sea lay calm and blue, and far below, the desert glowed under a still sky. The descent was slow and punishing. Cramps seized my legs and thirst tormented us. The last climb out of the wadi was sheer exhaustion, but as the light faded, the sight of our waiting cars and the smell of hot coffee revived us. We had made the 6th recorded ascent of Gebel Shayib. Wildlife was plentiful: ibex, gazelle, marmots, even wild asses. The following days took us back across the desert, pausing by the cliffs of Gebel El Galala and the camel corps posts of the Smuggler's Coast. On the evening of December 8th, weary but content, we reached Fayid, carrying with us the memory of a journey through Egypt's silent hills and of Mons Claudianis, where the ghosts of Roman builders still linger among the granite ruins.